This clip of the Texas Bucket List is brought to you by Spirit of Texas Bank, Slovacek Sausage, Germania Insurance, TX Burger, and RV Source. Howdy, and welcome back to the Texas Bucket List. You know, whenever we're on the road, chances are we might be a little parched from time to time. Fortunately, we pulled into Fort Worth and found a place full of firewater. Perfect to wet our whistle. When it comes to superior spirits in the Lone Star State, there are all sorts of things to sip on. Whiskey tops the list when it comes to a lot of Texans' taste buds. So we went to taste one that's got our favorite abbreviation on it, TX Whiskey.
Whiskey's been a part of Texas for a long, long time.
Troy Robertson is one of the founders of the Firestone and Robertson Distilling Company, the first artisanal bourbon and whiskey distillery in North Texas.
It's certainly easy to get up every day to come to work.
I'll toast to that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Troy used to work in the oil business, but a familiar fondness of fine liquors led to a new livelihood with co-founder Leonard Firestone. Now he's traded barrels for something somewhat better smelling than Texas tea.
You know, Texas and whiskey, the cowboy culture, you know, the energy business, it's a hand in glove relationship.
Firestone and Robertson currently have a blended whiskey on the market and a bourbon whiskey still aging in barrels that's expected to be released in 2016.
Being that, you know, over 90%, 95% of bourbon was being made in Kentucky, we thought, well, you know, there's a lot of people in Texas that like bourbon, so, you know, we should make our own.
Every day we take our 10% alcohol by volume beer, 1,000 gallons of it, and we distill it into 140 gallons of 135 proof whiskey.
Rob Arnold is the head distiller. He takes corn, wheat, malt, and TX Whiskey's own strain of yeast and turns it into this. This is the whiskey before it goes into the barrel.
This is the whiskey before it goes into the barrel, exactly. It's not technically bourbon whiskey yet. It needs to go into a barrel before it becomes whiskey. So right now it's just White Dog.
So kind of like White Lightning.
Yeah, kind of like White Lightning. We just call it White Dog instead.
Just to get the whiskey to this point takes a lot of preparations.
We control everything we can as tight as we can using science and our senses, our noses, and taste, and try to create a really consistent good White Dog.
While sampling the White Dog is interesting,
Oh, wow, let's put hair on your chest.
it's best to let the aging process begin.
It goes into a barrel, and from there it's just see what happens. Mother Nature and magic take over.
Aging barrels is more detailed than what most people might think. We have all of our barrels custom made to our specifications. The other thing is the level of char on the inside. So the rules of bourbon, according to the federal government, specify that it can only be a new barrel and it has to be a charred barrel. Playing with that level of char will create a different taste.
And that's something you guys have to have exact in each barrel.
Right.
It'll take 4 years before being ready to savor. And while the bourbon silently sits in the distillery, you can't help but notice a whole lot of hammering going on in the bottling area. This is where the signature bottle tops are created for a very fitting crown on the carafe.
We wanted to, you know, represent a little bit of Texas. We didn't want to be cliche or predictable. So we really thought long and hard over months and months of, you know, bottle development, you know, how are we going to do this? And the one thing that popped in our heads was Boots is an iconic part of Texas, and so how can we incorporate that into our process?
Each top is topped with reclaimed boot leather. Snakeskin, gator, ostrich, you name it. But every once in a while, you'll run into something you wouldn't expect. Something that leaves more to the story to tell.
So we make tops out of all different kinds of materials, from boxing gloves to military, to hunters, all the way to some really, you know, special projects that we've done. This one was for a local firefighter who was diagnosed with leukemia. They brought his bunker gear, and everyone in his unit basically made a top, created these for him, ultimately to auction off at a benefit on his behalf.
Well, that leaves one thing left to check off. Time to belly up to the bar.
I've died and gone to heaven.
So in tasting whiskey, first thing you want to do is do what we call nose the whiskey.
Okay.
So open your mouth a little bit, take in a breath.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So you get kind of some vanilla notes, caramel notes. Then you want to take a taste.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Kind of trying to really feel where it's hitting you on the tongue, and then allow it to finish. So you feel kind of a warming sensation, but it's not a punch in the face really, and a burn in your chest.
Medium flavor all the way down, and it tastes great.
Yeah, super smooth, very approachable.
Good job, Troy.
Yeah, thank you.
To Texas. To Texas.